Assalamu alaikum. People have been asking which night is Laylat al Qadr in the lunisolar Islamic calendar. I did try the experiment to see if it was possible to identify the date of the southward equinox by tracking the curve of a shadow over the course of a day, looking for the shadow of a fixed point to trace a straight line during the whole day on the equinox, as opposed to a curve at other times of year. But even on Friday, yesterday, 2 days before the equinox, I already plotted the movement of a shadow in a straight line. So by that method, I would not be able to tell which specific day was the equinox. Perhaps if I did the experiment every day for a month or more, I might be able to extrapolate the date of the equinox as the midpoint between the last day when the shadow made a curve concave to the south and the first day when it made a curve concave to the north. Anyway, from astronomical data, we know that the moment of equinox when the sun crosses the equator southward is at 12:44 p.m. Universal Time on Sunday. The southward equinox and Laylat al Qadr are the anchor that keeps the months from rotating through the seasons. Laylat al Qadr defines the month that contains it as Ramadan. Now, the precise equinox moment when the sun crosses the equator southward happens at the same time for the whole planet, but it will be daylight on one half of the planet and nighttime on the other half. If it is nighttime where you are at the equinox moment, there is no doubt that night is Laylat al Qadr. But if it is daytime where you are at the equinox moment, that is at 12:44 Universal Time on Sunday, if it's daytime at that moment, the question arises, is Laylat al Qadr the night before the equinox moment or the night after? Up until now, I have been presenting as though Laylat al Qadr is the night after a daytime equinox. But since we cannot definitively determine the precise time of the equinox moment through naked eye observation anyway, and since we are dependent on astronomical data to identify that moment, there is no reason to think that Laylat al Qadr should be the night after a daytime equinox. It would be more reasonable to consider that Laylat al Qadr is the night before a daytime equinox, since we identify Laylat al Qadr year after year by the position of sunrise on the horizon. If Laylat al Qadr is the night before a daytime equinox, that would ensure that Laylat al Qadr sunrise is never more than 12 hours away from the equinox moment. Applying that rule to the astronomical data for the moment of equinox at 12:44 p.m. Universal Time on Sunday, Laylat al Qadr is happening this year on the night from Saturday to Sunday in countries from Iran westward to the international dateline, and will be on the night from Sunday to Monday from the international dateline westward to Pakistan. As I have explained in a previous video, there is a consistent pattern of leap years that repeats every 19 years. The leap years come every third year for 3 times in a row, then once after 2 years, then after 3 years for 2 more times, and then once after 2 years again. That adds up to 19, and then the pattern repeats. You can rely on this pattern to hold for a long time. However, this pattern does shift every 334 or 353 years due to the fact that 235 synodic lunar months are about 2 hours longer than 19 tropical solar years. The last shift in the pattern of leap years took place in 1930, which was a leap year, but 1949 was not. And instead, 1950 became a leap year within a pattern that will repeat every 19 years for the next 3 centuries. However, Because there's not a causal link between, but only a coincidental congruence between the solar and lunar cycles by Allah's command, it can happen for the first century or so after a shift that the cycle year that forfeited its leap month may look like a leap year again once or twice. In other words, it may be the case that there are only 11 days between Laylat al Qadr and the start of Shawwal in a cycle year once or twice in the first century, after the same cycle year had already had 12 days between Laylat al Qadr and the start of Shawwal, especially if Ramadan only has 29 days that year. But just by knowing that the years in multiples of 19 after 1930 had already relinquished their status as leap years by 1949, we know that 2025 cannot be a leap year. It is a multiple of 19 after 1949. Those multiples will not be leap years again for over 4,000 years. To sum up, Laylat al Qadr this year is the night from Saturday to Sunday in longitudes from Iran to Hawaii. And it is the night from Sunday to Monday in latitudes from New Zealand to Afghanistan. At dawn, on the night that is Laylat al Qadr where you live, I recommend you find a good viewing spot to watch the sunrise. And then remember where it rose from on the horizon so that you can watch for Laylat al Qadr in future years, even without using astronomical data. I hope this is now clear, and please leave questions and comments below. May the rest of this blessed month of Ramadan be pleasant and inspiring for you. Assalamu alaikum.